migrations also will be supported by the AWS because they use different services. Okay, to make they will help you with all those migrations and all. And you have this sheet, right? For example, everybody will be thinking about when I want to move the services to the cloud, right? So what kind of impact that I'll be getting it? What are the things which may not work in the cloud? Whether this particular service or this application is suitable for cloud or not, and what are the risks will be involved while doing that migration? How do I mitigate those risks before I migrate it? Because the moment once you migrate it, if you get into the issue, then you cannot take it back. It is not that much easy, right? So what AWS does is before you migrate your on-premise infrastructure to the cloud, right? So they will assess your infrastructure. Like there are services which they offer them, they will have these services offered in the AWS, right? What they do is like using the tools, they will assess your infrastructure. So whatever is there in your on-premise, and then they will give you these recommendations like how to what level that you are ready, right? Or what are the improvements that you needed before you migrate your infrastructure to the cloud. So like either it could be a business plan, like what are the plans to be laid out, okay, before you migrate, and how much effort that will be involved in that migrating, and what are the risks involved with it, and what will be the effort of mitigating those risks and all. So it is everybody, right? If you talk about any corporate sector, if you talk about any bank or whatever it is, if they are trying to move their infrastructure, the first thing is to assess that. It doesn't matter like the migration will whether it goes smooth and you will do it straightforward. That doesn't matter. The first thing is how far my infrastructure is compatible in the cloud is the matter. If it doesn't work once you host the cloud, then everything will go for task, right? So first they have to assess their infrastructure, how far my infrastructure is ready for the cloud. Then once they assess, you will get these findings, right? What are those are compatible and what are those not compatible? If it is compatible, then what are the steps that I need to do it, right? In an implementation plan, that I have to put a checklist and I have to put implementation plan, what needs to be taken care of. So everything I need to put there, right? If it is issues, if you find some services or some applications are not compatible, right, then the AWS itself will give you some recommendations how to mitigate it, right? So there are so many tools which will be there to assist you to come out of that particular issues and all. So then you have to put up that team, right? You have to have a dedicated team where they have to work on the migration, and you have to assess that findings and all. So where the exactly issue is coming, what are the things that the team has to do to fix it. Once it is fixed, then you have to align with the internal teams and the business. You have to inform the business. So there should be a lot of planning goes behind before migrating the cloud infrastructure to the cloud. But ultimately, there should be a definite plan, assessment, and the complete implementation. So these are the things which will come into the picture, right? So that is nothing but like migration will come into the picture. Networking, right? In the on-premise, we have to talk about like switches, routers, LAN, WAN, everything. And here you don't need to take care of anything. Okay, that entire networking itself will be managed by the AWS. You just need to make use of that services which they use it, right? Like firewalls, what it is ready-made there. Like if you want to have the firewalls at network, if you want to have firewalls at your application, if you want to have a firewall at server level, you can use all the services because you have different services in the cloud platforms, especially for AWS as we speak, right? So there they will offer the services, and you can just make use of that services and use it as per your requirement. Whether you talk about firewall, whether you talk about security, you talk about servers or whatever it is, right? So it is readily available. It's just about your requirement, when to use and what to choose, right? The best thing, and also someone should be good at that. If you have any requirement, right, which one I should use it. So you should have the expertise team to check all those things and make sure that the correct service is chosen for that particular requirement. So that is very, very important actually, because unless you are not clear in terms of what needs to be chosen there, then everything it will create a big disaster in the end, right? So you have to make sure that whatever the requirement which is coming from the business, at the same time that whatever service that we are going to choose and whatever services which will be needed for this particular requirement. So that is a very important thing. That will come into the picture when we do a migration. At the same time, once we migrate the infrastructure into the a lot of requirements from different customers and all. So it depends on the requirement. You have to choose the services which AWS or Azure or GCP offers, right? So you have to be you have to be expertised in choosing those services, or else then everything can go for task, right? So that is one thing. And the other one is the management tools, right? So management tools is nothing but you have in on-premise, you will have this. You have to monitor all those servers, and you should have dedicated team for monitoring and maintaining those things. But here you don't need to have it. So they will give you these monitoring services, management services there, right? So those services is something you just need to use those services, and that will be used for monitoring and health checks, and you can get these You can set up alarms. For example, let's say if any server goes for CPU more than 90% RAM, 90% storage, 90% whatever it is, right? So you can have these management tools in place where it can monitor all those resources of your server, and you can do the you can take these proactive actions on top of it, right? So these management tools will help you to monitor all those your resources or services which you use in the cloud platform, to make sure that you will be notified when something goes wrong and what needs to be done, right? You will be notified immediately, then you will come to know that what needs to be done to address that particular tools and you would have different management tools under the particular category. And if you talk about security, as I mentioned, the firewalls, if you talk about the platforms, right? You see in the current world that there is a cyber security. There are so many services which AWS does offer in the security, right? Who has to, for example, especially I talk about once we create an AWS account, then you have to, as a company, I need to decide to whom I need to give access, right? Who else has to have access to that? I don't want somebody to access my firewall, right? I want only these people to have access to this particular server or this particular page, right? And I want them to access only the firewall, right? In that case, these there will be in the security, we do have different services where we can have control, right? I can clearly define the control where this particular person is only restricted to this particular service. He cannot use those services apart from that, right? And also the level of actions. Level of actions means if he wants to delete it, if he wants to fight or something. So it depends on that granular level permissions also would be there. So those services will be offered under the security category. And the messaging, right? Messaging is nothing but, I hope you might have seen that mails you will be getting it, right? When you do some transactions kind of thing, correct? For example, if you do if you perform any for example, if you book any item in that AWS, in Amazon or any e-commerce portal, and you will get a notification to your email once you register it, right? So those emails will be triggered from the application, right? Generally, means I'm saying whatever you are doing it, immediately you get a notification to your email, and at the same time your mobile number also. Like whatever the registered mobile number is there, you will get a text message. At the same time, you will get a email notification to your email. So that is possible. Because you have these email services there, there are different services would be there, like SES services, nothing but simple email service, notification service where you will get a notification through the message and through email and all as well. And SES services also, like for example, if anybody joins in any new organization, for example, as you guys are a fresher right now, if you go into any other company, right, once you become experienced, then you go into some other company. Then in the second company, then they'll do the background check handle, right? So the background check will be done. Generally, those areas would be there, right? They will send you the notifications also to your email IDs that your background check has been initiated for you. That will trigger from the application, right? So that application, they'll use these kind of backend services where they offer this email notification service, text message services, and the other services would be there, like a queue service kind of thing. So there are different messaging also would be there. Analytics, right? So analytics is, like as I mentioned, it is very trendy in the market, as I mentioned. So AWS does offer those services as well. Analytics is nothing but you will get the data, right? You will get all this data in one place, right? Then you will assess the data. Okay. Then how much data has come in, on what date, that how much data, like for example, if you talk about weekends, right? So who and all have been accessing on weekend, who and all have been accessing on weekday, how many people are there active, how many people are inactive, right? So what are the items which were sold most? And so I'm talking about e-commerce, right? So all those things and all will be there that can be done analytics, and these analytics will improve for the customer to look at your future goals and to make some changes in terms of their products or whatever it is they are planning for the future, right? So that analytics will give you complete insights of the products, whatever it could be the product, e-commerce or banks or whatever it is, right? So this give you enough information for the customer to what needs to be looked at and what can be avoided and what improvements can be done on that particular product, right? And then also we'll come to that, okay, this particular section of customers looking at this particular product, right? So that I need to plan for this. Okay, this particular section of products is customers are looking at this one, so I need to plan. And when they are showing the interest to buy, so all those will be there in that and possible through analytics. And also analytics, it just it has a huge scope in the market where it helps the customers to identify their business purposes, right? How they can simply understand the customer's experience. So based on that, they can plan for their future goals and other things and that, right? So now, as I mentioned in previous slides, right, if you see these AWS regions and availability, so just given a slide where they have these data centers, right? So if you see that around the circles, right? So these are nothing but the AWS provides have these servers, data centers in these countries, right? So you have the flexibility to you host your servers in any of these regions, right? You can see, in the US, in Africa, in South America, and in this like in Europe, and in Australia. You have all over, almost it has covered all those things, and there are so many regions also in the pipeline now, right? So regions is nothing but like the country which I talk about, right? The country where I'll host my service in, right? That's nothing but your region. Availability zones is nothing but, for example, if you take Chennai, right? So Chennai, you have different areas from the, for example, let's say you take this the other one is like ended Sholing Nellore or something, right? So availability zone is nothing but you can take this Sholing Nellore as a one availability zone and the other Ramapuram as available. So you're saying like if you see the region is nothing but Chennai, right? The availability zone is nothing but you'll have two availability zones within the region, which is nothing but your one Sholing Nellore is one availability zone and Ramapuram is a one availability zone. But these two are there in the AWS, in that same Chennai region itself. So I can call the Chennai as a region, and availability zone is nothing but one availability zone is Sholing Nellore and one is Ramapur, right? So I can host the servers in availability zone also, right? So what these availability zones, for example, let's say these two availability zones will be interconnected through private. So there won't be any latency kind of thing, right? So there won't be any latency wherever you host these servers under. Right? I can host my servers in a particular region, but I have a flexibility to choose in which place that I need to choose. For example, Chennai means I have a flexibility to host my servers in Ramapuram or Sholing Nellore, right? So it doesn't matter where you host, but it all interconnected. But it gives you the main advantage of availability zone is something. For example, if you hosted your servers, two servers, let's say in Sholing Nellore and Ramapuram, let's say, right? If one server goes down, the other will be available, right? So that kind of flexibility is there. So there won't be an interruption to your business. So that it makes sure that your application is available for 24/7, and there won't be any interruption for the customers who are using that particular application. So it gives you that kind of flexibility where you have your servers running all the time, 24/7, and there won't be any complaint from your moment one go on, the other one will be up. So that kind of of flexibility. So the main purpose of the availability zone is to make sure that your servers are available all the time, right? If one goes down, other one definitely will pick it up. That's how the level of flexibility that AWS offers, or for that matter, any cloud offers. So these are the sample the regions which are there, and the availability zones. So in each region we have availability zones. Particularly in India, we have at Mumbai. Right. Also, one more thing I would tell you that, see, in an AWS, also, for example, if you go to any office in our colleges, right, we do have your desktop systems, right, where we have to install our OS and softwares, some desktop softwares and normal licensed softwares, whatever we need to install it, right? So desktop applications, and we will install all those tools and all, right? So in AWS or any cloud platform, they offer this desktop as a service. Means I'm saying like you don't need to use your desktop. Like I'm saying, for example, I can take simply my mobile or device, any device for that matter, right? You can just access it from anywhere. You can access to that machine. But whereas if your desktop is there in one office, for example, let's say if your office is in Chennai, right, you have to come to the office to access that your desktop. You cannot access it from there, because definitely that will sit behind the firewall, right? Until unless if it is remote is enabled, but you can do it. But or else it will be very difficult for you, and also we'll have a lot of latency issues and all. But imagine a situation that if you are working from a remote location, right, then definitely you'll feel the latency, then you will feel a lot of interruption and all. But for that also, AWS gives some virtual desktops in the cloud. Means I'm saying virtual desktop means like whatever you are doing with your your office desktop, the same setup can be there in the cloud also. So that kind of that service is nothing but like workspace. In AWS, the virtual desktop is nothing but like workspace. They'll call it as like a workspace. So it just gives you the same kind of experience when you work with while you're working with the desktop window. So that is nothing but the virtual desktop. So coming to this thing, I think this will be helpful for you. I hope many of you have gone through it. Okay. So but anyhow, just I want to reiterate for you. See, AWS does if somebody wants to for that any platform that you can choose it, they offer the same thing also. But I'm just giving details about AWS, right? So AWS does offer free tier. Right, for example, it offers like the moment you create account that it offers 750 hours per month. Okay, so that end this free account, that free tier would be there till 1 year. So it is only valid for 12 months. For 1 month, you will get only 750 hours per month, and for that you need to create the AWS account. Okay, and once while creating the AWS account, definitely they will verify your credit card, debit card, whatever it is. So to associate with that, then they will what is the debit some amount like 2 rupees or 3 rupees something. Then immediately once it is verified, they will again credit back to your account. So it is only just a verification part. Make sure that your card is valid. Okay, so that will be like, as long as you are within that limits, free trial limits till 1 year, then you are fine. Okay, after 1 year, then you will get a notification that whether you want to convert your into as a pay as you go, like you want to pay something, what the service which you are going to use right after. So it's up to you, but you will get a notification that your subscription free trial is going to be ended by this time and all. So then it's up to you that to move forward or close your account or whatever it is, right? So and also you have to make sure you have to understand one more thing here is even though it is a free and for 750 hours per month and it is there till 1 year and all, but you have to be smart enough to understand what are the services which comes under this category, right? Free trial, because you have to understand that what are the services are eligible for the free service and what is the limit, right? For example, let's say I have this migration service, database service, right? Whether it is free or not, that if you go to this particular link, you will come to know that whether this service is a free service. If you talk about storage, okay, how much I can I can have it as a free storage. Like for example, they can offer like 1 GB or 2 GB. That you have to make sure that you stay within the limits during this trial period, or else again it will be charged. So you have to make sure that while working on this, as part of hands-on, so make sure that you check all these articles where it talks about your free trial services and limits of the respective services and okay. So and last slide would be your AWS certifications, right? So see, this you will definitely you will go through this once you join in any corporate IT company, right? So but I just give you details, right? So to start off with AWS certifications, right, I will tell you one thing, because now if you see out of all these certifications, right, the certification which has the most demand is nothing but the solutions architect, right? So solutions architect, either it could be associate or professional something, but solutions architect is the famous and having more demand in the market, is because it is, if you talk about employment, if you talk about jobs or whatever it is very high, and the pay also is very high. Okay, you will be paid like anything there if you have a certified like solutions architect from the AWS, right? If you can refer it, because even if it was there in the articles, if you see in the Google, you can come to know that what are the highest paid salaries in the current market, right? So definitely this professional, the solutions architect would be there in that list. Okay, so these certifications, so you see, as a being a fresher, right? Like I'm saying, like as you guys are fresher, I would recommend to go for the cloud practitioner, because that is nothing like your entry into the certification part. I'm saying like you're entering into the cloud. So I would tell you what will be the advantage of it, right? So for example, if you go for any interview for that matter, right? So I think this will give you a lot of edge for you and to get selected there. The reason why I say that is this, cloud practitioner certification doesn't need any what is that hands-on on them. It just only talks about the knowledge of these AWS services, whether you have knowledge of these services or not, what the service does. Just only the theoretical knowledge it talks about. It doesn't talk about any hands-on or something. But the cloud practitioner is something that entry-level certification of the AWS cloud. For any fresher, if they do, generally they will say like 6 months or something. But generally, I would say, if somebody as a fresher, if somebody having a certification cloud practitioner, if you ask me as a lead, right, I'll take those risks. Generally, I'm saying, right, I interviewed people also, right. If they are certified cloud practitioner, as a fresher, we don't expect any more than that generally, because the only thing which we look at it is whether they having a knowledge or not, about all the services. If they are certified with the cloud practitioner, I don't think there won't be any questions, too many questions from the interview perspective, right? So this will help you to have the knowledge, and also it will give an additional advantage when you appear for the interviews or for any organizations, right? So that it gives you a confidence for the interviewer also, that to get selected, right? To choose you out of all those people, like, because definitely there will be a scenario where you have to be like they'll have to choose out of 10 members, like 5 or 6 or something. Then I think this will give an edge, in those scenarios. So I would recommend, everybody, like whoever wants to have the career in this cloud computing. So I would recommend them that to go for the cloud practitioner exam. I'm talking about the platform. It could be they do have their foundation certifications. If you talk about Azure or cloud, other GCP or something, Google Cloud Platform, but better you start with this foundation certification, so that will help you a lot, right? So there, and once you're certified, then you will get a certification badge from this particular vendor. that you can post it in your social networks, or you can have it in your interview. That will be valid for another 2 years or 3 years. So it will be very, very helpful. So I would say, and coming to the solutions architect, associate, and all. So developer is nothing but so anyhow this will come into the picture once you join in any organization. That you cannot do it. As a fresher, it's very difficult for you guys to do it because it requires some hands-on experience and implementing the architecture, developing this application. Definitely it requires some knowledge, hands-on knowledge. So for that, once you done with the cloud practitioner, once you get some experience on it, then I think you are good to go for the developer certification or solutions architect. Is nothing but you are responsible for deploying the applications and what are the services that you need to choose. Those kind of strategy kind of thing will come into the solution picture. Developer is nothing but it is purely talk about coding part. Like if somebody is very good at programming, if somebody is excellent in terms of writing the code with respect to that AWS applications or something, I think they can go for the developer certifications. So sysadmin admin is nothing but your system administrator. Like when we see the conventional system administrators, right? Windows administrator, Linux administrator, or whoever is the administrator for that particular operating systems, right? So they can go for the sysadmin admin. DevOps engineering is nothing but it is something highly see, the professional is the last certification of all those things. Like, for example, I'm saying if you talk about any of these apps or solutions or developer, so professional is the highest one, which I think it requires a lot of knowledge to get certified, almost like 3 to 4 years or something. It doesn't matter in terms of experience, but still, the thing is like it's like your solution provider. If you ask me, if somebody comes at you, what I need to do, then you have to be, you have to provide a solution. What that I need to choose, what are the databases that you need to use, what is your application architecture. So all those things centrally has to consider, and the solutions architects are responsible to give inputs to the customers that what needs to be done for the effective of architecture or for effective business and all. So that is nothing that the solutions architect. DevOps is engineering, nothing but like we have these codes and all, right? We do make a lot of changes to the codes and all, right? That entire process would be there, like how we release it, how we make the changes, and how there will be like environments. I hope I'm not sure whether you heard about it or not, but there will be different environments like UAT, pre-production, production kind of environments will be there. UAT means like user acceptance testing, means like where the customers will test those scenarios, and then again pre-prod production. So the cycle would be like from UAT, once it is tested, then it will go to the pre-prod. Once it is tested in pre-prod, from pre-production to production, it will go. We will have different environments as well. So that will definitely will help you. So there, DevOps engineer will deal with that particular life cycle, right? That release, like I can call it as a release life cycle, where we'll handle this code deployments, with respect to all these environments. So we have different tools like GitHub, Jenkins. I'm just calling out those names here, right? So DevOps engineering, this will take care of all those releases. Like I can call it as like a CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. So CI/CD pipeline will come under the scope of DevOps engineering. Okay, so these are the different certifications, and the other certification where you can see the machine learning. These are the like specialty. For example, different, like for example, if you security, if you want to become a specialist in the security, you have this specialty certification, Alexa, skill builder, machine learning, big data, advanced networking. These are like one particular platform certifications, like one specialty. Whereas if you see the other certifications are overall certification, all the services which cloud provided, what they provide, right? So this is what it is. But I would what I would say in the end is like, everybody, whoever is having like, before you choose any platform, either be it cloud computing, be it machine learning, be it artificial intelligence, please have a complete, you just spend some time and choose one and be master on those. So don't try to become a master on all those technologies. It will become difficult for you. So try to become a master and having a knowledge on all those platforms to be handy. That will be helpful. Okay. So I think that's it from my end.